Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, June 6. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says legislation is being developed to give further protection to the cockpit country. He says this is being done while the Forestry Department verifies the boundaries through on-the-ground observation of the area.
Once that is done, we will be coming to Parliament with the necessary legislation to declare and protect the area as appropriate, both from commercial disturbances, industrial disturbances, and from agricultural and other kinds of use which would not be in keeping with the nature of what we are trying to protect here.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness gave the assurance Wednesday as he carried out a ground truthing exercise and toured a section of the Tire Forest in the Cockpit Country Forest Reserve. In 2017, the state declared 76,459 hectares of land stretching across Trelawney, St. Anne's, St. Elizabeth, St. James, and Manchester as the protected cockpit area. Since then, ground truthing, which is direct observation, has been ongoing through a 4-year, €16.5 million commitment from the European Union's Development Fund. €14 million will be used to implement the National Forest Management and Conservation Plan 2016 to 2026. The relocation of families living close to the island's mud lakes will begin this year with a steady plan to relocate all of them over time. This after discussions with the mining ministry, the principals of Jiquan Iron and Steel Company, JISCO, and other mining companies.
We have seen and heard the cries of our people who are suffering because of the dust nuisance generated from the mud lakes. Let me apologize to them for the discomfort, but hope is on the way. JISCO is our largest investor in modern times, and they are still investing. They are displaying good corporate citizenship, and I thank them.
The Minister of Transport and Mining provided the details during his sectoral presentation in Parliament this Tuesday. He reiterated plans to develop a minerals land bank to buy and hold land for future development and prevent citizens from building or developing on those lands in the meantime. As of June 15, ordinary Jamaicans will have the opportunity to travel by plane from one section of the island to another. Minister Robert Montego says 2 private investors, Howard Levy from Jamaica and Lyndon Gardner from the Turks and Caicos Islands, will be offering the domestic flights to every registered aerodrome in the country.
Mr. Gardner has just indicated to me that domestic flights in Jamaica are now on his webpage. And as of 2 minutes ago, he flicked the switch. So it was added to his portal because he's now selling domestic flights, and you can start as of the 9th of July here within our aerodromes within Jamaica. Scheduled flights. Gentlemen, I want to thank you. These scheduled domestic flights mark a new and historic day in general aviation in Jamaica.
Minister Montego says both investors own airlines and will offer scheduled domestic flights as the first step, followed by international flights to the Northern Caribbean, Mexico, and Florida. The draft National Diaspora Policy is expected to be endorsed at the upcoming 8th Biennial Diaspora Conference. The conference will be held in Kingston at the Jamaica Conference Center from June 16 to 20. This year's theme is Jamaica and the Diaspora, Building Pathways for Sustainable Development. Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith says the policy has been reviewed to incorporate the Sustainable Development Goals as well as the National Migration and Development Policy.
I've conducted focus groups personally with community members in New York and Miami and Canada and the UK. And those further comments have been taken into consideration.
Minister Johnson-Smith was speaking at a JIS think tank on Wednesday. Activities planned for the 8th Biennial Diaspora Conference include the Governor General Awards, panel discussions with government ministers, and Government at Your Service, where 11 public sector agencies will be on location to offer their services. The conference will also facilitate linkages meetings with local businesses and members of the diaspora. Government is pushing composting as a method to reduce the amount of waste generated for disposal. Executive Director of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, Audley Gordon, says the agency has conducted studies which show that over 60% of the country's garbage is compostable. He says hopefully Jamaicans will develop a culture of composting, which will help to decrease the budgetary allocation granted for garbage disposal.
If you have year after year, the survey is showing you that this particular category is the highest percentage of your garbage. This is an idea whose time has long come, that you must find a way to treat with that high percentage of compost.
Mr. Gordon was speaking at a recent JIS think tank session. Today was observed as National Solid Waste Day under the theme, Compost Before You Dispose. And finally, many Jamaicans turned out yesterday evening to honor the life of former Prime Minister Edward Seaga in a traditional 9-night ceremony in West Kingston. It was held in the Tivoli Gardens Square, pulling residents from there and other communities in the constituency he once served. The 9-night is one in a series of activities planned for West Kingston leading up to Mr. Seaga's state funeral on June 23. A football tribute kicks off on Sunday, June 16 at the Edward Seaga Sports Complex, featuring Tivoli Gardens Invitational, matching skill to the Premier League All-Stars. On Wednesday, June 19, a revival table will be hosted at the Tivoli Gardens Community Center, while on Saturday, June 22, a setup will be held in the Tivoli Gardens Square.
There will be candlelight vigils across the constituency, including Fletcher's Land, Midtown, and Denham Town. And there will also be a candlelight vigil in Ocho Rios, hosted by the Honorable Shaini Robinson. Again, that vigil will see the participation of the revival community from Wattown in St. Anne.
Jamaica's 5th Prime Minister died in a United States hospital on May 28 on his 89th birthday. His body was flown home on June 2 and is lying in state at several locations across the island from June 5 to 20. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.